Many people take the perspective that they're not going to live long during retirement, and other people fail to recognize that they may die early. Both could happen. We don't know what the future holds. But we're going to talk on Consider This program today about determining whether or not you have enough resources to become a centurion. What if you live to be 100 years old? Will it be okay? Find out next. Years and years ago, oh, by the way, I'm Joe Clark, host of Consider This program.
And I'm Daren Hardesty.
Hey, I was so excited about this topic, Daren. We're really talking about being able to prepare, as we're going into the end of the year, really being able to prepare for the unknown, what could happen, the excitement, the joy, the things that are out there. And you may not be excited about the idea of turning 100 at some point in time in your life. When I talk to people about that over the last 34 years of being in the financial services industry, people say, I don't want to live that long. Well, right. I got news for you. We have people who have lived that long. And it's our job at the Financial Enhancement Group to make sure that they haven't used all of their money. They still have the opportunity to be able to eat, to have power, and as I like to say, to have the infamous clicker to be able to turn the TV channels. It's one of those things you just have to have in life. So can you afford to live to retirement? Daren Hardesty is one of our senior advisors of the Financial Enhancement Group. He works with me on all of my individual families that I'm responsible for at the firm, and he is going to help run us through this conversation. Can you afford to live to 100 years old? Daren, take it away.
Oh, I will do my best, and to any of those people out there that have crossed the 100-year mark, I congratulate you for your great accomplishment. Joe, the world is our healthcare is getting better. Just our general understanding of nutrition is getting better. Everything that we're doing, the likelihood of you dying from, a bear attack, if you will, out in the woods is getting less and less, which is good. So that just means that people are going to keep living longer. And if people are going to keep living longer as financial professionals, we need to make sure that we are planning for that event. And really, it just depends on what you bring to the table. No longer do we have the likelihood that you're going to retire with a pension or the likelihood that you're going to have Social Security that can cover all of your expenses. More and more of the baby boomer generation, as they get older, are going to be coming into retirement with assets. And how do they use those assets? When should they start using them? Should they wait until they're 72 when required minimum distributions kick in, or should they start using them prior to that? All different things that come into play. Our job is that we have to make sure that we're looking out for the potential risk of you living a really long life. So if you retire at 65, Joe, and you want to plan to live to 100, you have 35 years. Now, I'm 36. Well, actually 37. You start to forget when you get older, right? Doesn't matter as much, but that's a whole lifetime for me. So you have to make sure that you are
It's a whole career for sure.
Absolutely. So when people go into retirement, a lot of times they just think, well, this is just kind of like a vacation. Well, when you really think about it, it's a whole third phase of life. It's your life after your working life, or your life after work, as we call it. So our job is to make sure that we're paying attention to inflation, your purchasing power. How much should we anticipate that we need to inflate your income over the years? Joe and our team, we do a great job of looking at breaking your expenses down into not just all expenses, but your fixed expenses, which are cable bills, grocery bills, things that you're going to be paying on a regular basis, no matter how old you are. And then also your social expenses. So your social is travel. It's the big purchases. It's the things that you want to enjoy, especially those first 10 to 15 years of retirement when you have the health and well-being to be able to go out and enjoy the money that you've saved up over your life. So how do we inflate those different things? How much should we inflate them and make sure that they can last as long as you need them to be? Some people come in, Joe, and they say, I want to be completely out of money. I don't care who gets it. And other people come in and say, no, I want to preserve as much as I can for my kids. All these things come into that calculation that says, do you have enough based off all these different variables on everything that we can predict or estimate over the next several years? We can help at least provide some clarity and hopefully some well-being that yes, you can, or give you the honest truth that maybe you should work a few more years.
So when we look at that, when Daren talked about fixed and social expenditures, here's what we know, that a 65-year-old who may be retiring, social spending, what we call it, the IRS or the economic people will call it discretionary spending. But what we know is discretionary spending tends to peak at age 65. In our practice, it has always been closer to 68. And if anything, it's edging out a little bit towards 70, but certainly not beyond that. We can look at the amount of money that people are depositing and the amount of outflow in terms of distributions that people are taking, right? So we break that into two categories. What is fixed expenditures, as Daren said, that you need to have that are going on, that need to be able to deal and work with inflation rates as they are. And then the second is to be able to deal with that social expenditure. So when you think about that third career, right, you had your first career as a child and preparing, whether that was an apprenticeship, college, or starting out at a fast food place like I did, right? And then you've got your career, and now you have your retirement career, and you really have to look at that because there's going to be different things that happen with that in that career. You're going to get promoted. You're going to get promoted out of a lot of social expenditure. What we find at 68, 70 years old, people, one of three things happen. Either can't get away from the grandkids, they can't get away from a doctor, or the comfy couch just feels too comfy and people become homebodies and don't want to leave. And we watch that discretionary income begin to go down. So when you look at this, what I don't want you to hear in Daren's message is that we want you to hoard money in case you live to be age 100. We want you to divide your money and we'll help you with that retirement budget by dividing into two areas, what is social and what is fixed. It is our job to make sure that you do not run out of fixed in case you are here at 100, right? So we use your life expectancy, add 5 years, that gets us to the 96th, 97th percentile, right? And then we adjust every 3 years on those fixed expenditures to make sure that you're okay. But when we turn around and look at the social, we tend to flatline it. We don't add inflation because we know when you get to 70, the amount of money that you're going to spend in that area just declines each and every year. We want you to be able to use as much of your money. In fact, it's one of our values at the Financial Enhancement Group. We do not want to help people hoard money. We want to help you properly utilize your money. And if your goal is to spend it all, we'll help you. If your goal is to make sure there's money left over for the next generation, we'll help you with that too. But we want to make sure that you have the freedom, the ability to be able to use your assets the way they were intended to and not simply hoard them out of fear or frustration.
Yeah, and Joe, you know me, I love numbers.
Really? A math teacher?
I do, yeah, it's right. So I wanted, as I was preparing for our show today, I wanted to kind of see, well, how many people are crossing the 100-year mark? So roughly, based off of the United Nations provided this to us, but according to the United Nations and through Statista, I found this data, but roughly 574,000 people worldwide will be 100 this year, will turn 100. 97,000 of those are just in the United States alone. And that, if you look at the chart, it's an exponential
So we have
chart.
20%.
Correct. And the reason being, obviously, we are a first world country. We have the best health care.
We are the first world country. No.
Absolutely. So
I'm an American, sorry.
and if you think about all the developments, we've talked with physicians in our that work with us, that the flu vaccine, how that impacted nursing homes and how many people in nursing homes didn't pass every year when the flu came through. Now we have the COVID vaccine, and who knows what other medical advancements we're going to have, that common things that used to take your life are now going to be less and less likely. So we have to make sure that we're paying attention to this because, this largest generation that's ever come through the United States is starting to move into retirement. And the likelihood is that those people are probably going to be the largest generation to cross the 100-year mark. So all the things you said, absolutely, they play into it, and we always try to make sure that we're planning. We're not trying to hoard. We want to make sure that you have as much money as you need, but as you get older, we got to make sure that you're still well taken care of. Something that we like to do to kind of help those odds and make sure that you have as much as possible, it deals with Social Security. And what we're seeing more and more, people, as we've spoken many times, people think that it doesn't matter when you take Social Security. Well, if you plan or anticipate that you're going to live a long time past that life expectancy amount, well, it matters a whole lot more, because if you are 65 and married and generally healthy, there's a very good chance you're going to be surpassing that estimated life expectancy just based off of the data that we have and all the things we know are coming. So with the retirement V for victory, the whole idea of this is that we are going to incorporate, if you have assets that are tax deferred or other investment accounts, we're going to incorporate those to supplement your income early through your 60s until you reach that full maximum benefit age of 70 for Social Security. We want to do that because for every year past your full retirement age, you're gaining 8% in your retirement benefit for Social Security.
So when you look, math teacher, when you look at a 5.6% increase, which is what they're getting next year on Social Security,
yes,
right? The longer you've let that 8% grow, plus the 5.6% increase, this is substantial sums of money.
It's a
substantial sum. So, and again, when he said that, we use a retirement V for victory in unique situations. It's not for everybody.
Correct.
The rules haven't changed. The tax code as we know it today and your health all come into order.
Absolutely.
Right?
Nobody comes into our office and we have the same generic, hey, check these boxes and this means this is what we're going to do. Everybody's situation is different, but if we can incorporate that strategy, it sets you up for a much better benefit that's going to help your retirement income as you go through all of your years, so that you're not having to pull from your assets as much and your assets have more of a chance to grow in their investments. So plenty of strategies that we can incorporate. But in the end, Joe, I've loved what you've said before many times, that you like to look at 36-month allotments when we're planning this out, because the farther out you stretch your assumptions, the worse those assumptions can be, because you don't know what's coming. So even though we can lay out this great plan that's going to last 35 years, every 36 months is the most important thing that we're paying attention to. And
so we have well-read and educated people listening to this. So some of you have probably heard us talk about life expectancy today and gone, The last 2 years, life expectancy has actually declined. That is a true story. First time in like 50 years that it has gone a little bit backwards. So that was not COVID. That was other things that were going on, some stress in the workplace, more and more women in the workplace, some issues that are like that. You have to understand, when you look at life expectancy, it is a large pool of people. You're competing against people who were at bars 3 o'clock last night, not people up listening to a radio at 6 a.m.
Correct.
You're not talking about people who've had the best health care sometimes and the best dental and paid the most attention to their health. You are unique. And if there's anything that we do in our Next Steps meeting, it's to talk to you about being unique. You can call 800-928-4001 or go to yourlifeafterwork.com or use the QR reader if you're watching the video. Get signed up for a complimentary 90-minute meeting. We call it Next Steps. We will tell you what you need to consider today, what you're going to need to consider in the future, and if we choose to partner together, what FEG will do for you, and Daren will put it in writing along with our 180-day commitment, so you understand exactly what it is we do for you, why we do it, why we think it's important. Again, yourlifeafterwork.com. Get signed up for the Next Steps meeting. And don't forget to go to considerthisprogram.com for previous shows.